Whoa, that was abrupt. What's up,
Do
man?
it. Do the thing.
Bung gung 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 bung gung gung. Good God, welcome everyone.
There you go. Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Vince LaRosa, Connor Colopsis. Let's get this thing started. If we are on the air and we're doing a live stream, it means, can you get it right this time, Connor? It means
There's news.
yes.
There we
Yes.
go.
He's
Actually,
learning.
I'd say, out of all the moves we've made this offseason, this is some of the biggest news.
Hot take.
I mean, come on.
No, I mean, you're probably not wrong. So let's just go ahead and get that move out in the open. Everyone knows it by now. Maxime Crépeau is the new number one between the pipes, posts, whatever in the net for LAFC, whatever you want to call it. It's a
number one.
It's a big deal, right? Like we kept ticking down moves and we're like, this is great. Then the next one, this is even better. The next one, this is even better. But the whole time we kept all saying, are we going to get a goalkeeper?
I mean, yeah, talk about, I mean, just go back to our last stream. We were saying how we were starting to get even more and more comfortable with the roster moves that we're making. The depth of the squad is kind of accumulating, and then the only spot that was kind of that set off the alarms was the goalkeeper spot. And that, based off this move, it's good. Like, look, Maxime Crépeau, Monsieur Crépeau is in the building now,
and with some very good numbers. I mean, LAFC. Look, we had Tyler Miller. He was an unknown quantity and became a very good goalkeeper. I think he's above average in this league, but moved on because he was due quite the raise. And maybe the understanding of where LAFC saw his talent versus how much he wanted didn't align. Then we go kind of into the wilderness, right? Where we're just like, this goalkeeper, maybe this guy. Is this guy going to work out? And no offense to Tomas Romero, but it was a glaring hole. Like we needed.
Well, I mean, but that wasn't ever the idea with Romero to begin with. Kenneth Vermeer should have been the number one going forward for LAFC. That did not work out. That isn't. I would say that's partially John Thorrington's job, and that's also partially Kenneth Vermeer's fault. You know, but then Cisniega was never able to step up as good as we wanted to, and then Romero came in, played pretty good. I think for the player that Romero is. He's been unbelievable for LAFC. He's not going to be a starter for LAFC, but to think that we got this unknown quantity basically on a free, but we had to trade for his rights. But he's been unbelievable.
So we go from unknown quantity to a big known. Like this guy is 2019 Vancouver MVP, 2021 Vancouver MVP, plays with the national team. Is you can give me more info on this? Whether he's the number one or it's like 1A, 1B between him and Milan Borja.
Yeah, I mean, you say what you want, but he's one of Canada's number one goalkeepers, regardless if Milan Borja is starting ahead of him. He's good enough to start for Canada any day.
Yeah. So he's got the bona fides. He's got the stats. We can go over some stats, but fans are excited, right? Like,
oh yeah, this is
like
great.
We just saw some fans jumping in the chat. They're like, we trust the process now. Gomez Jr., who said he trusts the process now, he was saying, now go get the DP. In a lot of ways, I mean, I got in trouble last time for saying something was more exciting. But does this now give you some more time? Does this buy John Thorrington time to really hone in on the DP to where before we were like, got to happen now?
Well, we said got to happen now when we didn't have 5 new players. You know what I mean? That was when the roster was pretty thin. Now the roster is filled out a little bit. And like I said last time, we don't need a DP. That's not me saying I don't want one or I don't think LAFC will be getting one. I just look at that roster and say there's no glaring hole in that squad that needs to be filled with a DP spot. We have Chicho Arango. We have Velen Birod on the wings. Ilie Sanchez, Kellen Acosta, Latif Blessing even. Who's the other midfielder I'm missing? Sifu. You know what I mean?
Sifu, yeah.
There's no real spots that I'm saying we need a DP. And so now we do have that time, like you mentioned. We do have that time. We have that luxury of not only no pressure to get it immediately, but we also have that luxury to not even need a DP. So
you're right. Well, we're curious about what you guys think. So you guys in the chat, let us know what you think about DP. Give us any of your questions. Our producer will pull them. We'll answer those kind of later in the show, but let's stick on topic. Let's stick with Maxime Crépeau. Let me give you some numbers. You know, I'm an advanced stat guy, Canada.
Sorry.
Great North. I'm an advanced stat guy. So Maxime Crépeau, by all accounts, is a very good goalkeeper. But then when you look at the numbers, he's not just a good goalkeeper; he's a great goalkeeper. Because if you go to Football Reference, which I love, it's powered by StatsBomb data, which I trust. He was the best goalkeeper in terms of saving shots that should have been goals, +7, almost +8. So basically 8 goals that should have probably gone in, he saves them. Now, when you combine that with the fact that LAFC were bottom 4 with their combined goalkeepers at -5.2, so we're talking about a 13-goal swing. Imagine 13 goals one way or the other, either off the board or on the board for an LAFC team that last year had injuries and struggled, but was still very close to the playoffs. If he's even half as good, that's an amazing plus for LAFC. That's still even 5 goals. 5 goals saved you a time.
I would assume both teams faced similar amounts of shots too.
I think Vancouver probably faced more. I think he was probably a little busier.
So that's even better for us.
And so people talked a little bit about, so his 2020 season was abbreviated because he had a thumb injury. He only played in 3 matches. And that's kind of where Vancouver got the idea that Thomas Hasal might be able to be, take over as a starter in the long run. Oh, what do you got?
If we want to talk about Vancouver's kind of thought process, people are like, this is the stupidest move for Vancouver. They're like, this is like Vancouver's Walker Zimmerman trade, that like they were on the wrong end. They're stupid. They just got Gam and that's all they wanted. And it doesn't make sense. But I see Thomas Hasal as a very good backup option. I see him as like a Thomas Romero a little down the line, where if there comes a time when, our number one doesn't moves on, then there's a natural second option that can slot into the first team. So I think he's a great option. I think that they're getting $1 million Gam plus the incentives without having to go and shop for another goalkeeper. You know what I mean? And that's a no-brainer in my eyes.
It's a bit of a win-win, but I think for LAFC right now, this now puts LAFC ceiling much, much higher just because of the moves that they've already done. Right. So Vancouver still's got a lot of work. They've got some good players. Ryan Gauld, I think, is a very good player. Brian White's a very good player. They've got some interesting defenders. And like you said, Thomas Hasal fits a need. So it's not like they're out in the cold in that regard. They need to just go scramble, find a goalkeeper. He's already there. He's already
I will say, I would much rather have Crépeau on our team than Tristan Blackman. That's all I'm saying.
Tristan Blackman or Jamal Blackman?
Tristan Blackman, because he's now with the Whitecaps. I'm just saying, like, although it wasn't like a 1-for-1, it was still kind of like they have our player, we have their player. I'd much rather a Crépeau than a Blackman.
Because of the need it fulfilled.
Of course. And now we have Escobar too. So
anyway. Well, I mean,
this is like one of the only times after a really depressing last season when we didn't make the playoffs. Off seasons can go one way or it could go a really good way. You know what I mean? So I'm just really happy. I don't know what's going to happen this season. But it's good to just be content and be okay with the way things are.
And there lies the big thing, right? So at the end of the day, they need to do it on the pitch. But we're not even to the first preseason game yet. So you're allowed to be a little happy with the way the roster's setting up, I think. And for me, a lot of people have been reaching out to me and going, "Did you save those receipts?" Not my style, honestly. Not my style
though.
Yeah, it could be people's style. Look, I love it. I love watching it. The receipts being doled out. I will say this, the reason why it's not my style is because what I always told you guys was just like they're working in the background. It's not like they're sitting on their hands just because you don't hear anything. So it just reiterates what I'm saying. Like they're always working. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes it works out as great as it has for this offseason. And sometimes you miss a few. Maybe you miss a Jonathan Rodriguez. But let's talk about the ins and outs of LAFC so far this offseason, why we're so happy. To me, this is the best offseason of an MLS team. You can argue maybe Toronto, but it's Insignia. Yes, it might be Salcedo.
Oh no. But
if they want to argue
from a balance point of view, this offseason wasn't about getting a huge name player, whereas Toronto FC, yes, Insigne, maybe Salcedo, but from a balance and restructuring a squad or minor tweaks, as John Thorrington would say, it's almost been a perfect offseason so far, and there still may be a couple more moves.
If we want to hedge our bets, we'll say best offseason in the Western Conference.
100%.
Toronto, fine. Best in the Eastern Conference, but Insigne is not showing up till summer. So
I mean, considering that my two teams are LAFC and Toronto FC, I am very happy right now.
Cloud 9 right now. All right, so let's go over the LAFC rivals. It's Franco Escobar, Ismael Tijori-Shroudy, Ilie Sanchez, Kellen Acosta, Maxime Crépeau. There's going to be one more. We're hearing that a backup goalkeeper, John McCarthy, who played a little bit for Inter Miami, is going to be coming along. So they're adding some more depth to that area. The outs.
And experience too. I just want to touch on that a little bit. Like all these moves that you're mentioning are that much needed experience. LAFC's been a team that prides itself on young, very good talent. There's a balance. The 2018 season, there was that balance between MLS veterans as well as those young guys, the Diego Rossi's at the time, the Atuestas at the time, the Latif Blessing, the João Moutinho's at the time. We had a pretty half and half squad. So I see these guys coming in and kind of finding that balance again. So I'm excited. And even if it's someone like John McCarthy, who's going to be probably not playing it at all, you know, it just adds that extra of layer of experience in the locker room that was much needed.
Yeah, I don't have all their ages in front of me, but if I'm guessing, this is a swing of like everyone's between 26 and 31 years old.
Yeah.
Like good prime years, also experience. All of them, most of them have raised trophies. So that's a big deal. All of them have international experience, which is a big deal. So that's very interesting for LAFC. And then when you hear the outgoings, so here are the outgoings: Tristan Blackman, Jamal Blackman, Bryce Duke, Raheem Edwards, Danny Crisosimo, who actually is at training camp as a trialist,
could be back.
Jordan Harvey, Edward Atuesta, and I'll put Rossi on that list. So there's some high end qual. So I think, well, here's what it is. The outgoings have the highest of high end, right? Because you have Atuesta and you have Rossi at the very top there, right?
But those are reasonable.
But then the ceiling just goes way lower, right? Those are reasonable. Those we knew were going to happen way lower. Or just unknown, right? Bryce Duke is still an unknown to me. He could be a very good player, but they've looked at him over these past 2 years. If he's been training in day out, and they said, you know what, if he's not going to play much, let's get some money for him and let's transform that money into a Kellen Acosta, Franco Escobar. So when you look at what they brought in, the ceiling is much higher, the floor is much higher.
On average compared to their departures, 100%. I think the talent that we've added this season completely outweighs the talent we lost. Although we did lose Atuesta and Rossi, the rest of that list that you named, it's not the best of the bunch, especially last year. And we found that out the hard way, especially when Rossi left on loan and Atuesta was injured. So I think, it's balance. It's creating a roster that could win MLS Cup. And this is it. You know what I mean? So I am pumped. JT is at the wheel.
None of these guys are Atuesta, Rossi. We're not saying that, but the floor of what they bring, just the bare minimum of what you're going to get from these guys is much higher than that list of players. And talking about additions, somebody brought up something that hasn't quite been announced yet: Mark Dos Santos returning to LAFC. Yeah, it's maybe going to come out soon. That could have played a role in Maxime Crépeau. I'm sure it did. It had to not just because of Vancouver ties, but remember, going all the way back, Mark Dos Santos was working with Montreal, working with Ottawa Fury, which is a team that Maxime Crépeau was the USL Goalkeeper of the Year, I believe.
No, the recently deceased Ottawa Fury.
Right. What are they now? Atletico Ottawa?
Well, it's not the same team.
Oh, it's not even the same team.
No, the USL killed Ottawa Fury, and then Atletico Madrid was like, "Watch this."
Got it. This is why I go to you for my Canadian soccer news. You are the end all be all for that for me. Yes. So you're on board as saying John Thornton offseason. Wait, let's grade it.
A plus. I mean, I genuinely don't think he could do anything better other than add maybe a DP and just fill out some stuff. Like I would actually argue that maybe getting a John McCarthy, maybe even re-signing someone like Daniel Crisosimo, just filling out the roster just a little bit more, which he will do. Like he's not stupid. Mm-hmm. This stuff is in the works, and you're not going to have a finalized roster like 2 months before the season starts. So give it a little more time. And I genuinely don't think we could do anything better with the resources that we had. We're not going to go ahead and splash like 10, 20 million on a player. That's not how this league, this team works. But for the resources we had, we crushed it.
Right. Yeah, I'm going with you A minus, because at this point, like you said, now we're just working around the fringes, right? Working around the fringes and the DP. The DP is what we got.
A plus is if we get a DP. But I'd say easy A for John Thornton currently.
So a lot of people are agreeing with you. Gomez has been great in the chat. I think we can wait until summer now to see who's free and who we can sell. Better DP options.
100%, because if you get a free DP, that's how we got Carlos Vela. You know what I mean? We didn't splash the cash for Carlos Vela, and look how good he's been.
Right. It depends on where you're shopping, right? So if you want to shop in Europe, you're going to probably have to wait till the summer. I know a lot of fans would like to see a big European name, and I think LAFC has looked towards possibly bringing that in because, look, Jonathan Rodriguez signaled kind of a change. He's not a 20-year-old player that's unknown. He's a very known quantity, and they were very, very close, Jonathan Rodriguez. Yes, he's coming from Mexico. Yes, he's Uruguayan, but I think that signals a little bit of a change of where their philosophy is. However, I would say now, with the way this team is plugged in and the experience he brought in, I don't mind a Diego Rossi showing up.
No,
20-year-old.
not at all. Not at all.
Like, this actually affords you that idea of like, wow, okay, we don't have to necessarily nail a name player. We can go a little bit younger if we really want to, and I think fans will still be a little bit weary of it, and I understand because Brian Rodriguez is still taking time to acclimate, but I think he's really bought himself time, is what we're saying.
For me, I think it's whatever the plan with Vela is. You know what I mean? If the plan is to re-sign him to a multi-year contract or just re-sign him again for the following season, then you don't go and sign a big name player. But if the idea is, hey, we may lose Carlos eventually, let's sign a big name player, get him to establish himself, and then once Carlos is gone, we'll get another young gun. But my favorite thing about two things. One, if you told me that we were losing Bryce Duke and Tristan Blackman in the same window, and I would give John Thorrington an A rating for the offseason, I would have thought we signed like Messi or something. I would have been like, what? You know, I'm a huge Swaggy T and Brycey D fan.
Yeah, you were. Yeah.
No, so I am kind of sad to see them go, but it's all reasonable in my eyes. All the deals have made sense across the board. And then on top of that, I can't wait to see how Brian Rodriguez and Maxime Crépeau get along on the training pitch. Because remember that little scuffle they had when Vancouver came to the bank? It'll be fun.
So what I want is day one he shows up a buddy photo, him and Brian hugging it out. That's what I need. I need it.
I think that's what everyone needs.
Yeah.
Let bygones be bygones.
Look, LAFC social and Twitter has all been about healing this offseason. Let's heal. Let's bring it all back in. We had a down season. We're going to heal. We've got a very good
heal
going forward. I agree with you. Look, I was at training yesterday, and I was just kind of poking around, asking people how they felt about Carlos. And two things came up. They said, one, he's very happy right now, and that shows. And, I know there's been photos where he's been smiling. People are like, wow, that looks really genuine. So people tell me he's happy. Two, he's fit. He's come in fit and ready. And a source told me there that that's what's going to be the biggest thing for him. If he feels comfortable and feels wanted and feels happy, and he's also playing well, that's probably going to be the biggest determiner if he decides to stick around for longer. So too soon to tell, very, very much too soon to tell. But as of right now, they're feeling pretty good about where he's at least to start this offseason, considering that, yes, he's on about 6 months left on his contract. It's going to be the new DP and what Carlos Vela does are probably 1A and 1B for John Thorrington, and then slide in is Brian Rodriguez. Is he bought in totally? Is he going to reach that next level? Those are probably the big questions now. But man, like you said, they've plugged every single other hole that we really were worried about. And then to hear that someone like Eddie Segura is ahead of his recovery, Mahala is now back on the field completely. Like Joe's close. Like this is all great.
And then on top, all the roster additions now. It's like, like we might be back. And it's never as black and white as that, because you never know until you start playing. This is the whole thing. Like I can make early preseason predictions on what the table is going to be like and then be completely wrong. So, I don't want to get too optimistic, but just by the looks of it straight up, it's looking good. I wonder.
Don't forget, last season we were predicted to be a top 3 side in all of MLS, and that didn't happen.
This season, what's going to happen? Everyone's going to be like, oh yeah, they're not going to make playoffs again. And then we're
fine. Yeah, we're fine with that. We're fine with that. I would say, though, if you looked at the kind of the roster configuration of last season, this season, I'd feel much, much more comfortable giving a top 3 designation to this roster build than last seas's.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should we do some questions? Producer Jason, do we have fan questions?
My first question is, I wonder if Trundalo.
Wait, it's not you asking questions. It's fan asking questions. But go ahead.
I was going to say, I wonder if Trundle has told Vela to play like Messi, like Bob did. What do you think?
Maybe you pick someone else. He's like, I'd rather you play like, oh yeah, B-Rod, you play like Messi. Carlos, I'm gonna.
He's just listing kind of players to be like.
Yeah, and Carlos like, no. Oh, I like that one. Yeah. No, maybe you told him to play like Griezmann. That'd be fun. All right, I think we're ready. All
right, first question.
Vince Connor, what do you think of the uptick of trades between MLS teams this offseason? Are we really seeing some more respect for the MLS talent experience? Interesting. You want to take a crack at this first?
Yeah, I'd say 100%. I think one of my favorite things about Major League Soccer, and it always has been, is how different it is from all the other major sports leagues. There's a lot of people, whether it's promotion, relegation, whether it's the Super Draft, whether it's anything regarding MLS, they say, why it doesn't have this? It should be more like the English Premier League. It should be more like La Liga. It should be more like the European leagues, where I like that it's a little different. It's not just because it's like Americanized with the playoffs, the trades, and all this stuff, but I don't want it to be the same as everything else. And so through trades, one, it's one of my favorite things about MLS, but two, you are starting to see kind of a recognition that MLS has gotten to a level now that you don't necessarily have to always look externally for good talent. If you have the resources, whether that be GAM or anything else, that you do have a Kellen Acosta, you do have a Franco Escobar, you can just look domestically for that, Crépeau, and kind of build a contender squad only strictly domestically. So I agree, and I like it a lot. GAM's not real though. It's like NFTs to me.
GAM's not real. Well, it's a mechanism, right? I mean, you still got to pay real money. That's the thing. You can buy a player's contract down. It's not like you go, oh, hey, you were making $1 million. We bought it down to 600,000. We're only paying you that. No, you still pay the $1 million. It's just it's a mechanism. But that's where I'm going to go with this. It's twofold. The GAM that's coming in and the fact that it's going to escalate each year is something that teams are really leaning in heavily to. And then also the sales of non-DP players out of here where you can convert your GAM has been a big deal for teams. And then, yeah, it's the talent. Look, the two better teams in the league last season, Colorado, New England, relied heavily on experience and MLS talent, whereas you have maybe an Atlanta and LAFC who were like, we're going to go young, we're going to go South American, we're going to go international. They struggled. They really struggled, especially as the season gets long, when it gets into the hotter months, when you get injuries. You need guys that have an understanding of this league, and I think more teams are buying into that because they're seeing the New Englands, the Seattles, the Colorados who have a blend. You still got to have a blend because, look, we still love our stars. We still want some international flair, and we still want to be a selling team. We want to be a bit like a Dortmund or an Ajax. But I think this is a real – and I think John always understood that you needed a blend of experience, but it tilted too far one direction last season, and he's really dragged it back the other way in a big way.
Because I think that like I mentioned, that balance was there 2018, 2019, and kind of lost it coming into 2020 when there was that transition of, hey, we can bring in a lot more young guys, Ginella, Sifu, Palacios, all that.
But unfortunately, you lose guys like Beta, Walker, even Tyler to an extent, and that's where that pendulum kind of.
And then you can give them a year to prove that could work, and then it obviously didn't for many reasons. So now I like the pendulum swinging the other way a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with you. And keep in mind, 2020 was okay. We made the playoffs, but it really started in 2020, right? So this was like
years ago.
Yeah, this was like a year and a half problem. And COVID plays a lot into it, but it wasn't just a 1 year fluke. Like John saw it and he knew that he had to make some changes, but he had to move some pieces in order to do that. Okay, do we have another question?
Any questions?
What is a realistic player from Europe that LAFC can sign? Ooh, this is
Lionel Messi. No? Sorry.
I mean, maybe. Look, it all comes down to whose contracts are expiring, right?
Yeah.
A lot of it. I think a lot of it. I mean, because look, we keep bringing up Griezmann, and I would love Griezmann to come play here, but he'd have to take a serious pay cut. He'd also have to probably be released from his contract because there's no way you're paying $30 million or something like that. It's just, as much as we'd love MLS to get there, maybe one day they will. It's just not happening.
Griezmann will come is until his contract is up. And no question about that. I don't think realistically they would release him for any team because of how much they paid for him and how much he's worth to them.
Here's a name, Jesse Lingard. People have been throwing it around. He's out of contract.
Well, what does he do? Isn't this?
Yeah, he does something weird.
Jay Lings?
Jay Lings? Or what are you guys on a friendly basis?
I'm not a Man U fan.
He's an interesting player, though, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
I tend to say no. You know what? Actually, in the same realm, and a player I think his contract's coming up, Dele Alli. Who would you rather have?
I would much rather Jesse Lingard.
Really? I would rather have Dele Alli.
That's disgusting.
I would actually rather have neither because I don't think English players come over here and do very well.
No,
But
no, they don't. And I don't think they're of that status or quality that DPs would need in this league. You know what I mean? They're very good players, and I think
they're overvalued because they're English.
Not just overvalued, but they're at that level, but what they provide only works in a setting when they have that level of players around them. I think if you put them in a setting with MLS players who are maybe in a level a little bit lower than them, that they won't excel when they don't have the supporting cast around them. Whereas Lorenzo Insigne, Carlos Vela, even if they're put into a position where their supporting cast isn't as good, they can still shine because of their individual brilliance.
Okay, 2 more names.
Luka
contract is expiring. Ousmane Dembele, and another one, a guy that my heart goes out to, and I hope that he does come back to his best. Christian Eriksen. Would you take either?
I wouldn't take Christian Eriksen just because he's like an unknown quantity right now in terms of just his condition and his ability. I don't know what he's coming back to. I wouldn't want to gamble on that. I would take Dembele in a heartbeat if he wanted to come. I think he's a great player, but I don't think
supremely talented. Doesn't seem to have the drive and willingness to push through injuries and to train really well.
Yeah, and I don't think that's after last season. I don't think we want an injury-prone player on our team. I can't deal with that again. I can't deal with a Carlos Vela out for the entire season again.
Our producer in our private chat has claimed he is the French Gareth Bale, who also is another name that people are probably interested in. There's always going to be the Gareth Bale, Mesut Ozil rumors that are going to hang around. It's hard for me, man. I don't think Europe's the best place to shop because you always got to wonder, like, when these guys come, or is it vacation time? Is it?
I know that's actually a huge thing for MLS. Is Andre Horta? He came in here, that egotistical. Never mind. But
hey,
he came in knowing that he was going to make a lot of money, thinking MLS was going to be a walk in the park, as do a lot of veterans from Europe do.
Yeah.
And look where that got him. It wasn't just because he made one mistake against the Galaxy. It was because he thought he was hot shit, and he, in fact, wasn't as good as he thought he was, and it wasn't going to be a walk in the park. He actually had to work, And so whether that's a young DP or an Higuain, that is something GMs will have to kind of think about when bringing players over, or at least open the dialogue.
And that's the reason why I'm out on James Rodriguez. I know a lot of people want James, but
he can do that in the Premier League. You think he's going to take MLS seriously?
Yeah, he treated Everton like it was a level below him. So let's move on to the next question. What do we got?
What do we got?
Can you gents elaborate on the new goalkeeper coach? I got to meet him quickly yesterday.
You elaborate. I don't know too much about him.
I got to meet him quickly yesterday. He comes from DC. He has a track record with Eintracht Frankfurt. So I think that's where maybe Steve knows him in Germany. Look, he comes from DC, and before that, Philly, although he did have a brief stint, I believe, with the Galaxy. He comes from DC and Philly, where they have 2 very good goalkeepers, Bill Hamid and Andre Blake. So that's very interesting. Now he's got Maxime Crépeau to work with. I think say what you will about needing a change at head coach. I think we definitely kind of needed a refresher at goalkeeper coach. And I really like Zach Abdel as a person.
And goalkeeper. That was not working. Something was wrong, whether it was the players we got or the coach himself, but we needed
something was wrong. So we got to change now, keeper coach, and we've got a serious upgrade at goalkeeper. So you would hope that those two can work together, and he has a track record of doing this. So that's a big pickup. Not all the assistant coaches are out there and named, but there's a lot of rumors and a lot of people saying stuff that are pretty reliable. So you can go out there on Twitter and find it. But when Steve Cherundolo came in, I said John Thornton has to do 2 things: make sure the roster is solid for him, so he has the longest possible runway into the season. He has no excuses in that regard. And thing that I didn't touch too much on, but it makes sense, is get him the best staff. Put him in a place to succeed where he has guys that he can lean on. And knowing Steve, look, he's the boss, but he seems very collaborative, and I like that about him. and with the guys that they're bringing into the staff, like I'm not worried at all that this is Steve's first real head coaching job, because the guys that they're surrounding him with and now the roster, it looks really strong.
So really all you're saying is if he messes this up, that's really bad on him.
Yeah. And isn't that how you'd want it? Like at the end of the day, you want to rely on yourself and not have to say, well, this happened. Oh, there was an injury here or there. No. It's all there for you. And I think Steve likes that. We saw him at training yesterday. He was still very loose and smiling, and the vibe just seems a little bit happier around training. So everyone seems to be really dialed in, and that comes from your head coach down. Look, I enjoyed my time with Bob Bradley, but I'll tell you this, I'd never been at training where Bob like walked off the pitch, went and found me, like shook my hand, said what's up, went over to the next person, said what's up. Bob was always very nice to us. He was very polite, but there was not that kind of extra gregariousness. Bob was business. Bob was all football all the time.
And it's a change of vibe, as someone would say, and that's something you really need coming off of last season.
All right, we got a couple more questions. Let's go to the next one. Let's try to rapid fire these maybe. Which new signings are you most excited to see, and which returning player are you most optimistic about this season? Ooh, you know what? He's not there yet, so that's why I'm excited, and I don't know how he's going to fit in because we do have a pretty good attack. Ismail Tajori-Shroudy. I'm really interested to see what he brings because he is slightly different than all of our attackers, and he has a real way about finding goals. He's a better finisher than Latif, but almost in the way Latif kind of came into the league as a winger that could really press and do some things. And then returning player, Sifu, still my guy. I still think that I thought he broke out a lot of his shell last year, but then had to go into different roles because of injuries or other things like that. But this is going to be the year where he's not just a player that I think LAFC fans really start to know. I'm going to go again that he's going to be the breakout player in MLS for LAFC.
Okay. I don't know. I'm for newest signing. I'm struggling between Crépeau and Kellen Acosta. I think Kellen Acosta probably is our most exciting one yet. I think just because of the numerous qualities that he can bring to the midfield is next to none. So, for that being a problem last season, I couldn't be more excited to see him. But I think because the goalkeeper issue has been such an issue for so long. And, when Vermeer came, I thought that was going to be fixed. And when Jamal Blackman came, I thought maybe there's hope that he could fix that too. And it didn't work out again. So I will say I'll still be a little cautious. I know what Crépeau can provide. I'm a Canadian national team fan. I watch him play. We saw him play against LAFC. The reason Vancouver tied us that game last season was because of Maxime Crépeau.
10 saves. 10 saves. Incredible. He stood on his head. That's a hockey term for you hockey people.
I'm very optimistic, and I'm very excited about seeing him. Returning player. That's a good question. Eddie Segura. I want to see how he comes back after injury.
Love it.
And now that we have Eddie, Muri, Mamadou, and Sebastian Ibiaga, 4 quality center backs, and maybe if we're playing in a back 3, like Franco Escobar could play that role. I don't know.
Franco Escobar can play in that role. We saw Marco Farfan play a little bit in that role. Cheeky can play in that role. There's a lot of versatility.
Back. I'm interested to see how this lineup starts to really formulate and who's our starting center back pair, if it changes over the course of the season, because we have 4 really good center backs right now.
Yeah, a lot of versatility. Steve Trundle said that in his first press conference with reporters yesterday. He's like, versatile players are so big in this league because it's a salary cap league. So we like having those types of guys, and it just allows him a lot of flexibility. So I like that. And we saw last season, you're going to need that because there's always going to be little injuries here and there. All right, let's move on to the next question. Will you be at the preseason games and have an after show?
Who asked that question?
Hector Gonzalez has asked that. I think because he loves us. I would hope, and he wants us to do that. I'm going to say it's a big maybe, but we are pushing hard to do it because we like doing it.
The intention is to do that.
Yes. Yeah. Top level, Hector, we can tell you this. We want to be there. We want to be able to do post-game shows, especially because of the fact that a lot of these are behind closed doors. So we want to give you guys a window into every match that we can. So anyone we can be at, we will be there. And anytime we can do a post-game, we will do that. All right.
Yeah, but just subscribe, and there's that bell, I think, right?
Yeah, that's a good time to remind you to subscribe.
You'll know.
Yeah, subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Shameless plug to get
Shameless plug. It's the easiest way to keep on board with all this, but also subscribe to all of our social channels. It's at 110 Football. It's all across the social channels. That will keep you up to date with what we're doing and how these shows are going. Okay, one last question. Let's go.
One last question.
Oh, back to Hector. What can we expect from 110 Football next season? Do you want to take this one?
Oh, I mean, this is kind of a bombshell because it's going to be a little bit different than what we had last season. We're going to be doing a couple more shows than just our weekly LAFC show.
Well, tell them how it's changing because it's not even the similar type of show.
No, so it's going to be more like this, you guys. But we'll be in the studio. It'll be podcast format. We'll have a lot of good talent coming on, a rotation of talent. We're going to have 4 different shows. One's going to be an LAFC show.
Of course.
One's going to be an MLS show.
Ooh.
One's going to be an Angel City show.
Ooh.
And one will be a World Football show. So we have a lot. Football. Yeah.
World Football. I'm just finding this out right now. No, I'm kidding.
You're finding? No, but so we have a lot of really fun things planned. We're going to do some really fun game day, pregame and postgame, where it's going to be event-based, so you guys can come interact with us virtually, in person. We're going to have to do a lot of fun in-person activation. So a lot of fun stuff. So you guys will be involved.
Yeah, think about it this way. We're optimistic about what might be able to be done this year. Hopefully we've all been being safe and we'll get past the last wave, and then we'll be able to do more things in person. So we want to do event-based things. We want to see you guys out there. We want you to join us in our event-based things, whether it's a pregame or postgame. We want to hear you guys, not just in the comments, but actually have you guys maybe get behind the microphone. See how hard this job is. It's not that easy, man. It's
actually really easy. I don't know what he's talking about.
I have a difficult time. I actually sweat it out. I'm very nervous before every show. But so it's event-based, and then also we're going to have some regular programming for you, as Connor said, more of in a chat style to get you guys more involved. Think of a podcast, but with video component and you guys in it. And it's every week on the day that you expect it to be on. So Mondays we'll have LAFC and we'll have MLS. And we're thinking Thursdays when Angel City starts up, we'll have Angel City and a World Football show. So you can come for those, and then sprinkled in between segments, the normal fun, the games, hopefully some player.
And we'll be doing a lot of content with LAFC, as you guys know. We'll be doing content with players from the PC, from the bank. So it'll be interesting. I don't want to give too much away, but it'll be exciting for you guys to watch how the season unfolds for not just LAFC, but for 110 Football and the content we're producing. So thank you guys for sticking with us.
LAFC will always be our home base. It'll be our number one. But as we branch out, we'll find some other things. And I agree with that last commenter that said we need some 110 Football patches. I'm a big patch guy, big iron-on patch guy.
I don't wear what's called jean jackets. What do you put patches on, right?
You put patches on a lot of things, but jean jackets are very good for it.
Yeah, I don't. My patch game isn't too strong, but I'm gonna make one. I'll put it.
I'm gonna get you one. We're gonna get you one. We're gonna make that's.
We get 110 Football fanny packs.
Oh, okay.
Or like a jumpsuit.
A jumpsuit, yeah.
Bedazzled.
We'll crowdsource some cool stuff.
We'll pull. We'll do a poll.
Yes. In the meantime, you guys that are in the chat and stuff, let's get Connor a jean jacket. We'll get him a 110 patch, and then from there we'll start getting him some cool bands and some other patches. We can make this happen for him. Connor, that's it for me and you. I think we've done some good work here. Let's remind everyone to subscribe to 110 Football on our YouTube channel and all of our socials. It's very easy. It's at 110 Football. It's the same across everything. So just type that in. You'll find us everywhere. You'll get access to this kind of stuff. And we love to hear from you. So the more you comment, the more we'll start to know you, the more we'll have like a rapport back and forth. We really enjoy the repeat viewers and the repeat commenters. So thank you so much.
Well, I mean, that's when we're talking about next season. That I think that's the big initiative for us, is to get you guys involved a little more. We love your opinions, we love your feedback, and we want you to feel like you're a part of everything we do. And so the more you guys do that, the more you'll feature on the show, the more fun we have, the more fun you guys have. So yeah, thank you, Vince. Getting back on track.
That's fine. You derailed it for a good cause. Like Connor said, we want to go big on a lot of different content avenues, especially LAFC. But the biggest initiative we have is getting you guys involved and integrated into this, because we think the more that you guys are involved, the bigger this gets, the more we're going to get more players and we're going to get more teams involved and get more people that want to come on. And we can give you the access to those players as you watch these shows and show up to these events with us. We want to make sure that you guys are driving this show and also driving us. And also we like answering your questions and hanging out with you guys.
My last note will be, at the end of the day, it's because we're fans. We want to make the I want to help create a show that I would watch as a fan. I want to be able to have a show that fans can interact with, the fan show, the show that fans can come to for anything they need. And the more that we can do that, more that we can inform you guys and entertain you guys, better. So the more you guys want to just watch two kind of weirdos talk about whatever, the better, right?
Don't worry, we'll have more talent.
Okay.
But with that, Connor, that's a great way to go out. So boom, there it is. Take us out with the theme song there, Connor.
Bum, gung, gung, gung. Bye, guys. Bum, gung, gung.